I just say Jehovah Ra. I don't even need to say anything. When I'm lost, when it's lonely, when I just feel like, God, I think every believer needs to train themselves to have to become something in this world for Christ. There's a reason why I press. When you understand that literally your whole life can change in 1 second. So what we do here is just help you shorten the gap between you and God. Hi guys, so we're here again, and today we're going to be talking about the different ways to encounter God. So over time I realized that there has been some recurring ways that people in this present time, and even of the past, people of the past and in the present time encounter God, and I've even seen it, being taught by people I look up to, people I listen to, and I've seen some people I listen to speak about a particular one, and I get from here. So I put it all together, and including some of my own experiences, which I shared in the last video, put it all together, and I decided to share 4 ways to encounter God. 4 ways to encounter God. So there might be many other ways that an individual, be a youth, a young person, a younger person, or an older person, an elder, experiences God. But these 4 ways are 4 sure ways that I know you will encounter God, or you can encounter God. And also, the point of this video is not just because you may already know God and you'll be wondering, why do I need this video? So maybe you can know how to track the growth process of someone who just joins the kingdom, or even someone who is already in the kingdom and walking with God. It's good that you're able to track the growth process, because these 4 ways I'm about to share, they are all unified. God runs a unified system. God runs an automated system. What I mean by this is, if you find God through this way or one of these ways, he will still send you back through the other ways. You don't just find him through one way and then that's all. No. He wants you to experience all dimensions of him. So it's very important that you know these 4 ways and many more as you grow in God. So the first way that people encounter God is through the names of God. Through the names of God. So over time, the elders and the characters in the Bible that we know about, the Abrahams, the Moses, the Davids, the Gideons, over time, you realize that they as they journey through life, they encountered different challenges and opportunities, and when they went through them, they named the situation, or they named the place where they got victory, in the situation. They named it after God. They gave the name to that place just so they can remember God. So that's what the names of God mean. So whenever you hear a name like Jehovah Shikenu, God of my righteousness, or you hear a name like Jehovah Ra, it's not just because they just decided to call God Jehovah Ra, but someone in the Bible was going through a specific situation and needed God in a specific way, and God came through in that way, and they decided to create an altar for God through that name, so that altar will keep on speaking. So even if they die and their children grow up and they hear that name and they ask, why this name? Then the story of what happened when they were going through that situation will be told to the child, and then that child begins to relate and understand God in that dimension. For example, if you hear your friends or people say God is Jehovah Overdo, Jehovah Overdo, some people will be wondering what they mean by Jehovah Overdo. But someone who has heard the story of why he's called Jehovah Overdo, or even the person who named him Jehovah Overdo, was definitely in a situation where they needed something from God. They needed an encounter, they needed an experience, and then God didn't just show up, but he showed up more than they expected. So they decided to call him Jehovah Overdo, because he overdid what they expected. He surpassed their expectation. So when I, as a kid, heard that my father called God Jehovah Overdo, what happens to me? I begin to understand that this God is not just a God that does what I ask him to do or what I request of him, even though he says that we shall ask and he shall answer, but he surpasses my expectations and does more. That's literally what it means. So if you read the Bible, you'll see that one of the names, let's pick one of the names. Let's use Jehovah Jireh, my provider. Jehovah Jireh, that it means my provider. This was Abraham in Genesis chapter 22. In Genesis chapter 22, where he was told to sacrifice Isaac. At that point, he was He trusted God so much, and he was literally taking Isaac for the sacrifice. And then God showed him that there was a ram in the vicinity. And then when he sacrificed the ram and saw that he didn't need to sacrifice his son anymore, he called God Jehovah Jireh, my provider, the God who provides for me even when I don't have, the God who provides for me when I need, the God who provides for me even before I even say I need it. Because at that point, get it, Abraham was so obedient that he was actually going to sacrifice Isaac. Even though in Hebrews they say that he was going to sacrifice Isaac, but he knew that God would raise him back. But at that point, if you get it right, and even you can even relate this to your own particular situation or whatever you're going through, at that point, he was sacrificing Isaac with trust that no matter what, even if I lose this thing, I will get it. In somehow, some way, I will get it. So God showed up for him, because people think that, he already knew that, he was going to get Isaac back. No, he went there with full trust. When God says, leave this thing, and you leave it with full trust that he will always have your back. You don't know how, but he always have your back. And then he now shows up and says, raise your eyes. Look, this thing is here. Use this one. Then you would imagine how awestruck he was that he then named that place Jireh, basically. Let's look at another story, the story of Hagar. So Hagar was the one who gave birth to Ishmael. Hagar was a servant to Abraham and Sarah, and Abraham and Sarah were waiting for a child, and they got impatient, and Abraham was told to sleep with or agreed to sleep with his servant, and Ishmael came. And for some reason Sarah was not happy, or Sarah was giving Hagar a very tough time, and Hagar had to run away. She ran away from the house, and she ran into the wilderness to save her life, for her peace. And at that point, she was broken. I don't know if you've ever been broken. I don't know if you've ever been in a place where you feel like you're alone. Have you ever been in a place where it feels like you're in a wilderness, where nothing makes sense, where you can't make sense out of what you're going through, where it feels like, I should have been here, or I've done this and this, and this is what is meant to have happened to me by now, or I've done this and this, and this is what I expected, but you're not having that evidence, that hope. Like, it's like hope deferred makes the heart sick. You've been waiting for this and it has not come. You have been a servant and you're hoping that, okay, maybe someday I'll be elevated, and the thing that you needed to do, in quotes, to get elevated has come, but you're still going through turmoil. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you're tired, you're stressed, you want more, but it's not just happening. And then you're in your wilderness season. You're in that place of wilderness, that place that is dry, no water, no life. You're depressed. And then God comes and he says, he sees you. God shows up and says, he's here to provide your needs. Then she called him El Roi, the God who sees me. So if you understand, you see that she was going through a very deep emotional place, not just emotionally, but spiritually and even physically, that she felt alone. She felt like she was lost. And then God showed up for her in that place. The God who is busy with big people showed up for her, small her, in that place. Definitely she's going to give God a name. And she called him El Roi. And now anyone who refers to God as El Roi has encountered God in the dimension of he sees them. So do you understand? When you name God after a situation or something that's happened in your life, anyone who hears about it can relate to God in that manner. In that manner. Let's use Jehovah Ra. That's one I personally call God Jehovah Ra, my shepherd. David called God Jehovah Ra. This is my shepherd. Another translation or another definition of shepherd was friend, or Ra was friend, my friend. Another one is compassion, someone who has compassion on you. So whenever I'm in a place where I'm looking for direction, where I don't know where to go, I just say Jehovah Ra. I just say Jehovah Ra. I don't even need to say anything. When I'm lost, when it's lonely, when I just feel like, God, when I'm there, I just say Jehovah Ra. Do you have a name you call God? It doesn't even necessarily always have to be a name in the Bible. It can be a name that you've personally experienced God. Do you have that name written down? When you go through a situation, can you just pause and just call him by that name? He knows the name you call him. He knows if you refer to him as Jehovah Ra. He knows if you refer to him as El Roi. He knows if you refer to him as Jehovah Sikenu. He knows if you refer to him as Jehovah Nisi. He knows if you refer to him as El Shaddai. He knows. And when you call that name, he hears it. from wherever he is. And remember, he's the omnipresent God. So he's not just present here, he's present there, he's present behind the camera, he's present with you, with your laptop, with your phone. However you're watching this, he's present with you. And all you just need to do is, you don't even need to shout the name, you just need to call it Jehovah Ra, my shepherd. You can practice it. Just call him a name, what you relate to him as, your shepherd. He guides me. Whenever I say Jehovah Ra, it just gives me that affirmation that I can never be lost. I can never be stranded. Because I'm a sheep and he's my shepherd. And he's always there. His rod and his staff, they comfort me. He prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He anoints my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Jehovah Ra. Jehovah Ra. So the names of God is so important because it kind of leaves a signature in the time. It leaves a signature in time, in history, that someone has treaded and experienced God in a certain way, named God in that way, and passed it on to the generation to come. And that's how we just kept on. So you see these names that they named God, it has been going till my generation, and now I refer to him as Jehovah Ra. So I hope you understand that this is the way people encounter God. This is the way people encounter God, and it's marked by giving him a name. The first way, names of God.